Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ingy Pink Podcast. Okay, let's try that one more time. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ingy Pink Podcast. My name is Ingrid Pinkett, and I will be your host for this podcast today. Today's topic is overcoming adversity, striving, and thriving after multiple marriages and trauma. Let's talk about that. So, we're going to talk about resilience, self discovery, lessons learned, support systems, and a few other topics. First, I want to talk about a little bit about me and why this is passionate to me, um, or passionate for me. So, if you don't know my backstory, really briefly, I've been married 5 times. Um, Two of those marriages were abusive, and I've had a host of other traumas in my teenage life and in my adult life, which included, of course, you heard abuse, sexual assault, and just not knowing my worth and how to navigate those things that happened to me. So there is no sponsor for this episode because I wanted to make sure that I stay focused on what was going on and what we're going to be talking about. Resilience. How do you overcome some of the things that happen in your life? So, challenges of the multiple marriages, the trauma, you have to reach down into the strength that you don't even have to bring that out. And so for me, that was a lot of that had to do with some self discovery and had to do with me really focusing on who I am and what I wanted. This was years of going through things and years of trying this and trying that. It wasn't easy. It didn't come right away. A lot of times light bulbs would come on, but light bulbs would go off. It wasn't as if it was brightness for me and I was like, okay, this absolute revelation and here it goes and now I'm good, I'm perfect. It doesn't work like that. At least for me it didn't work like that. Everything is a process. Everything was a journey. I had to go through multiple just things to be able to help me in this process. So, therapy and um, ministry and self care and understanding that I was important to myself and also important to those that loved me and that was around me and doing those things as a result of the things that I have been through that were negative was not something that I needed to do and not something that was an option for me. But I had to take those things off the table. I had to take the negative options, the negative thoughts off the table for myself in order to be able to move forward in life and have a healthy life in all areas. So, self discovery is something that comes through a lot of healing, and it's self healing, but it also means you have to be willing because sometimes peeling back those layers and going through the process of healing, it could be a lot. It can be trying, It could be, it could test a lot of areas of your life. It can test your health, your finances, your mental and emotional rationalize, rationalizations. How do you navigate all of that and find strength in your own identity? Wow. I'm happy that I am who I am now. I went through those things, and if I had not, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. I wouldn't be the person talking to you on this podcast right now. I wouldn't have been willing to take a chance and put myself out here like this if I hadn't been through all of that and I hadn't discovered that the lessons that I learned from each marriage, each traumatic experience, and all the personal growth and insights that I gained along the way was what got me to this point right now. How powerful is that? That you can take all of those things that were meant to break you took those things to catapult you to the strength and the dynamic and the amazing, awesome, spectacular, spirit led, wonderful person you are right now. Wow. Those things blow me away. I know they may seem simple, but they're huge. When you think about that, there are people out there that couldn't handle those, couldn't handle their trauma. They couldn't handle the multiple marriages. They couldn't overcome the adversity that was coming at them in multiple different times in their life, multiple different areas in their life. Always know that there is a way out. Please don't make a permanent decision on a temporary circumstance. Things do get better, things change. It is up to you to make sure that your mindset is always one of this is a test. I'm going to get through this and I'm going to be better on the other side because that's going to be my testimony. That is going to help me grow and get to the place that I want to be in life. Lessons were valuable. They were learned from each and every traumatic experience. I grew. My support systems also grew. They were very, very important as I was going through these things. Whether it was somebody giving me an encouraging word, or if it was just someone saying, I'm just here to listen. I'm not going to say anything. I just want to listen. If that's all you need from me, that is what I'm going to do. Sometimes I didn't know what I need. I needed at the time. And that's when I prayed about it. And God always sent somebody to pour into me and to give me exactly what it was that I needed. That aids you and can aid you in the process of healing and thriving. When you're facing traumatic circumstances and multiple marriages doesn't mean that you had to have walked down the aisle multiple times like I did. Maybe you had multiple long-term relationships. Those are marriages as well. It's a type of marriage. It's a commitment to another person that you are going to share this moment, this life with them. You're going to grow with them. You're going to move forward with them. And then it doesn't work out. You go through the same thing as if you were in a divorce. separation, the hurt, the heartache, all of those things. It's a change. And you have to embrace that change, even when it's hard, even when you don't understand it, even though don't know why it's happening. You have to embrace that change. You have to adapt to the new circumstances. You become an individual person who has to build your life again after such what feels like this horrific thing that has ripped you apart. It could rip you apart financially, emotionally, mentally, and sometimes those things can exhibit themselves as physical ailments in your body. But how do you empower yourself after this? How do you get from victimhood to empowerment? How do you gain a sense of control over your life? How do you do that? You do that by being realistic. You understand what has happened in your life. You take accountability for your portion of it. And then you forgive yourself. And I know you're not going to like what I'm going to say next, but you forgive the other person. You don't forget it. You set your boundaries. You understand that what happened to you was either not your fault or the part that you played in it added in the breakdown of what happened. And you acknowledge that because that's your lesson learned. That's what you learned out of that situation. That's empowering. That's taking back the control over your life. And then you say, you know what? That's not going to happen again. Because now I know. Now I'm aware. Now I can do something different. For some people, that's hard. I know for me, it took me several times. It took me years to get to the place that I am right now. But at 53 years old, I can tell you, I got it. I know the consequences of certain decisions that I make and what is going to happen afterwards. I was a little hard headed. It took me a few times. And sometimes it showed up in a similar fashion, but it was just in a different package. Same thing, just different package, right? There were slight things that were different. But because it seemed the same, what I started to realize about myself was if I'm attracting the same things, if I'm going through the same things, if I'm doing the same things, what is it about me that I need to change? And not only do I need to change this, I need to dig deep down inside. I need to reach far all the way back because there are some traumas that are unresolved in my life that happened when I was younger, that happened when I was little, that I brought with me. And that's what I keep saying is my personality, but actuality, it is not. It is a trauma, and I took it with me, and it is the dross that I have to get rid of. Until you recognize that and until you acknowledge it, you can't do anything about it. Once you heal what your inner child, once you understand that during that time, during that moment, you rationalized what was going on, that trauma in your life, you rationalized that. You made it a part of you. You owned it. You kept it and you held on to it. And then from that, those things affected the rest of your life, the decisions that you made, how you showed up in the world. A lot of times we don't want to do that. I'm going to tell you that work for me was hard. It wasn't easy work, it was years of work. And when I tell you that I am still working to make sure that I don't go back there because that's comfortable, that's easy. Those are something that I know to do something different, to change your mindset, to create a healthy relationship, to utilize your support systems, to learn that lesson, to pull the self discovery, to have that resilience. Honey, that comes with change. You got to change everything. You got to get uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is hard as a human being. It's hard as a woman. It's hard. Nobody said that this life was going to be easy. Living this life was going to be easy. Being a human being was going to be easy. Being a woman was going to be easy. Being a Black woman was going to be easy. But you know what? We all have it in us. Because when we are born into this world and we're born into this body and these houses that we have around us, the real us is this energy is that is put inside of this house. We got to tap into that to find out the real, true us. Because thriving after all of that, marriages, trauma, everything else that goes on in your life, that is the real joy. That's the real victory. That's the real you. That is that energy source that's deep down inside of you. Spirit. Understand what a healthy relationship looks like. What does that look like for you? If you are watching this on YouTube, if you are watching this on Facebook, and put underneath the post, put underneath there, what does a healthy relationship look like for you? I know for me, a healthy relationship doesn't mean that we're not going to disagree. But what it does mean is that the way that the disagreement happens is not going to be unhealthy. It is going to be a dialogue of two people that can express how they feel about something without damage to the other. So for me, that's a healthy relationship. That's a healthy relationship on everything. Understanding healthy relationships dynamics is important because it shows how you're going to approach the future with a newfound perspective. When you realize what is healthy, when you define that for you, when you say, this is what happened, these are the things I'm overcoming, these are the things that I'm moving forward from. So when those things come up and I start to feel like I want to fall back in there, I know that I have to change my mindset. I got to change my perspective of this current situation. And I have to say, I used to respond that way, but I no longer respond that way. So, what way am I going to respond that is going to be helpful, that is going to be helpful, that's going to be encouraging, motivating, that's going to progress this forward in a positive way? Sometimes it's not easy. I'm going to keep saying that. I know I seem like a broken record, but I'm going to keep saying that because I don't want you to think that this journey is a quick one. that you gonna run this sprint. You're gonna run a sprint. This not a sprint, this is a marathon. And sometimes it feels like you've been running for uh, like 20 miles and you've only been running for one. So know that the most important thing too, we're talking about changing your mindset, is also your mental health. The impact of the multiple marriages and trauma on my mental health, I had to seek professional help. I had to talk to someone that could hear me out and give me advice that was trained in giving me the tools that I could use in my day to day life so that I could address the impact of those things that have happened in my life that I have allowed to be okay and that I've made and accepted as part of my life and dubbed it my personality. I needed that person to help me dig that stuff out and say, there is a better way. There's a different way. There's a healthy way. I had to prioritize my well being. And I am not afraid to say therapy works. Even if you think you don't need it, you need it. Anyone that says that they don't need to talk to somebody else, something wrong with them. We all need it because we all go through things. I know that in the Black community, that's frowned upon because we're super people. As a race, we are dubbed like super people because we have been through so much. But I'm telling you, seek professional help when you need it. Don't let anybody tell you that put something in your brain and in your mind that says that you are weak or you're not handling things like you should because of the fact you need to go talk to somebody else. They're weak and they're uncomfortable with elevating themselves. Your support system should be there to encourage you even when they don't understand what you're going through themselves. They are there for empathy. They are there as cheerleaders, as encouragers to say, even if I don't understand, I support you when it's positive. You got to rebuild the trust in yourself and in others. After all of the stuff that happened in my life, I didn't trust no dang body. I didn't even trust myself because if I would have trusted myself, I would have saw those um, similar things that were happening that were coming in different packages. I would have trusted myself to identify and to know that what was I was going into was unhealthy. And not saying to myself, if I just be this way, they'll be this way to me. I somebody told me that they was like that, but if I just love them enough, if I just da da da, then that won't happen to me. Lies, lies I told myself. Why? Because of my trauma. I made that up in my brain because of my trauma. You have to break that down. You have to understand where the trust was broken. Because for me, The trust was broken when I was a 2-year-old little girl and my parents got divorced. That's when it broke for me. Well, when their marriage started crumbling, because they got divorced when I was 4. And because of that, the mistrust of waiting for a parent that didn't come, or being told that parent doesn't care about you, doesn't love you. They're over here doing their living their lives, and I'm here with you, so you should be loving me. And I'm the good parent. That parent, but is not the good parent. But you know what? When I started changing, when I started to take things and say, let me apply this, let me get rid of this trauma, this thing. I can't get to where I need to go because there's something, and I don't know what it is, and I can't figure out why I can't get to that point. Why? Because there was this underlying trauma. So once I was in a position and was able to go through almost the last thing that I needed to go through to dig that trauma out of its root. And once I found out that that's where my mistrust came from, not only was I able to pull that out of myself and move forward, but I was able to heal that relationship and to find out the other side of that. And what I realized was that it wasn't what I was told, that the missing parent was just as hurt and missing me and lonely and needed me just as much as I needed him. And that the trauma that he went through because of what was said to him and the actions taken of the parent that thought that they were loving me and protecting me hurt them deeply, to the point that they had to step back to protect themselves, to save their mental health and emotional health, because they had challenges. And once I knew that, and once I found that, that healed that little girl inside of me. And she came bursting out, and then she wanted to play and she wanted to love. And now in my life, there's this super softness to me at times that wasn't there before. I have what they call the little bit of soft girl era, the soft woman era, soft girl era, whatever you calling it now. It was so funny that I was telling my sister the other day, I was like, I'm just crying so much, and I'm not hurt about anything, but there's so much that I have to be thankful for. There's so much that I'm going through right at this moment right now. And I know that as the test on the end, I'm going to come out as a testimony, but I have so much peace during all of this. This storm that that I know that's going on around me, I'm in smack dab and in the middle of it, but I feel so much peace, so much love. It just keeps me going each and every day. And I didn't understand it. And so at sometimes when I'm talking about things and I'm passionate about it, tears start to flow down my face. And I can tell you, if you would have told me that this was going to happen a few years ago, I'd have told you that you was crazy because I was superwoman and honey, wasn't nothing gonna break me. But you know what I realized? I'm not broken. I'm still strong. I'm still dynamic. I'm still that boss. I'm still all those things. I'm still striving and I am still moving forward into greatness. I still know how to get stuff done to the 10th power. So, me letting my eyes, what do they call it? Somebody told me this. Letting my eyes clean themselves is not a sign of anything other than having healthy emotions and thoughts. When you're crying in that manner, now, granted, if you hurt, something's going on with you, things like that, we all know that that's a different cry. But I want you to be inspired. And for those of you that are facing similar challenges, please know that there is a testimony on the other side of the test. Please, again, do not make a permanent decision on a temporary circumstance. And with that, that is my time. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me. I want to thank you so much for just listening to the podcast. If you have not listened to any of the episodes, please go back and listen to those. Let them encourage you and motivate you in any way that they move you, whatever platform you're listening to this on. This is on Facebook. You can reach it, Spotify, and also on YouTube. So I thank you to each and every one of you, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. And again, this has been the Ingy Pink Podcast. And I am your host, Ingrid, Ingy Pink, Pinkett. I'll see you next time.